Blog Talk Radio.
Welcome to another episode of the Grueling Truth. I'm your host, Mike Goodpaster, and joining me as always is my co-host, Matt Andrews Cabbage.
Mike, always good to be here.
All right. Well, our guest tonight, very special guest, revolutionized the position of outside linebacker in the 1970s. Seven-time Pro Bowl selection, was named in a 1970s All-Decade team. Help me welcome to the show former Houston Oilers great, Robert Brazile.
Good evening, guys. It's such a pleasure. It's such a pleasure to be on your show. I'm not up at this time of the night, so I really don't listen to your show that much, but thanks for having me on.
Oh, it's always a pleasure. Hey, and everything's podcasted. If you want to listen to any of the old shows, you can listen to them that way. And anybody out there, we've had Roger Clegg, Tom Flores, Levon Kirkland over the past few weeks. So you can find us at just go to the Grueling Truth Facebook page. You can get all the shows that way. And shortly we'll be on, hopefully, iHeartRadio and a few other outlets outside of just Blog Talk Radio. So let's get started.
Let's get started.
All right, let's get started. Let's talk about when you were younger, or your early life. What was your first contact with the game of football? When did you begin playing?
I started my first contact football in the stadium in Pritchett. I started off as a teen. We played little pep football. My uncle was the coach, my uncle Odell Randall. He was the one that prepared us not only for football, for any major sport that we wanted to play. Either you had to be a baseball player in Mobile or a football player in Mobile. So I got to start by the age of 10.
So who was your biggest influence as you were growing up and getting to know the game of football? Who was really your biggest influence?
I always wanted to be Jim Brown. I mean, I can remember taking an old T-shirt and taping that number on the back of it. I just wanted to be Jim Brown, just running all over people. People used to call me the Bull. So I think Jim Brown was my biggest influence because couldn't nobody never tackle him the way he got up, never pulled his pants up, just got up and just ran that straight back to the huddle and said, "Give me the ball again."
All right, you decided to go to Jackson State. What made you decide to go to Jackson State, which was a smaller school?
Well, a lot of people don't know the true story of the reason why I ended up at Jackson. I had initially signed a letter of intent to Troy State, which is in Alabama. I had another friend of mine. His name was Ricky Young. We both wanted to go to school together. So Ricky and I took a bus trip to Troy, Alabama, and we signed a letter of intent. But before we could get there during the spring, my mom and my dad wanted to go up to see the college. So my mom and my dad put us in the car to drive up to see the college. This was during the springtime. You got to understand this, back in the 70s, the 71, and we drive up on this campus, and everybody's out suntanning. My mother said, turn the car around. Y'all got to find another school. You cannot go to school up there. Ain't nobody going to school. Everybody's suntanning. So the next week, the next week, I had a cousin that lived in Jackson. He was a hell of a linebacker. His name was Anthony Gibbs. Anthony Gibbs was probably one of the key linebackers for years at Jackson. He was already there. So we got him to call Bob Hill to give us a shot. Bob Hill did not even look at me as a linebacker. He looked down at Ricky Young's legs and said, this boy has a good fullback. I'm going to sign him because I get somebody blocked for Walter. And in the meantime, me and my dad looking at him saying, hey, what about us? I'm the reason why we're here. He said, oh, you come on, you can get him a scholarship too. So that's how I ended up at Jackson State.
Tell us a little bit about your college career. I mean, did you want to be a linebacker? Did you want to be something else? Tell us a little bit about what it was like to play there.
Well, I had initially played both ways in high school, both linebacker and tight end. And when I got to Jackson, Jackson had a barnyard full of linebackers, the Richardson brothers, and three other Milton Webb, and all these were at least 3 to 4 year starters. So they put us on a red shirt team, and we actually had to prove ourselves how good we were. I mean, people would believe that Walter was once on a red shirt team, Ricky Young was on a red shirt team, and Charles James, all these guys who got drafted out there, 75 draft that year, we all started off on a goon squad team that was beating the number 1 team that Bob Jackson State had at that time. I was playing linebacker and tight end. The opening season, they did not take a freshman on the road trip. You know, you practice all that time, you don't get a chance, and you go check the list, and your name ain't on that list, and they're saying, we're not taking no freshmen. That means that Walter Payton, Ricky Young, Robert Brazile, John Tate, Charles James, all these going to be superstars did not make that road trip. And we all said, they're going to come out here to Texas, after Houston. We lost 3 linebackers that year. 3 linebackers out of 1 game. And John Tate, which was our linebacker, like Robert and myself, he and I went to play. We switched over from tight end to linebacker all in like a week's time. But we had been playing both ways all the time in there. Hello?
Yeah, you there? My screen just went blank on this, so we're going to fly. If there's anybody out there that's calling in, I can't see you to get you in, so I apologize for that. But go ahead and continue, Robert.
Oh, and so that's how I ended up as a linebacker. From that, we just flourished as a group. We was all young. We all came in and just took the position. Milton was really vocal in that. I'm telling W.C. Gordon, my defensive coordinator, that I could play linebacker because he had really stepped up and he had tore his knee all the way up. And this is the time for me to just lucky that I was in the right place at the right time.
Well, after college, I know Matt always loves to ask this question. He asks everybody that. What was draft day for you like? I know I saw an NFL Films piece about you and Walter Payton on draft day. Just tell us a little bit how your draft day went.
We was a close-knit group of guys at a small college. We knew we had some aces there. I mean, Bob here know he had some aces, but we had a barnyard full of athletes, and we were so worried about the other guys. Walter and myself had played in 3 or 4 bowl games, the East-West Shrine game, the Senior Bowl, North and South game, and we knew we was going to get drafted. But we decided to hide from the press till we figured out that the other guys off that team during that year, under 75 draft, at least had a shot. We were so worried about Ricky getting a shot, John Tate getting a shot, and all these other guys that had also helped us so much in that year. So we just played cops and robbers hiding from the press. We was out riding motorbikes. I don't like to tell that story because they weren't supposed to have motorbikes, but I had bought a motorbike from one of my friends, and we was out hiding, running from the press that day.
So what was it like to be around Walter Payton, and what kind of a teammate was like? Tell us a little bit about your time around Walter.
Let me explain. Walter was a kid that loved to play jokes. Very sincere. If somebody, you ever been pinched and never could get the guy that pinched you, if you ever went to your bed and found out it was a fake rat or a snake in it, if you ever went and was wondering where your shoe screens in your shoes, that was Walter. Walter played more jokes and played more little games with everybody. He kept something going all the time. But on the good side of Walter, he was a motivator. Could nobody outwork Walter? Could nobody out-practice him? And he was all about the team. It wasn't so much about Walter. He wanted everybody to be in tip-top shape. And if you stayed around him, you was going to be in tip-top shape.
Well, your rookie season, 1975, Bumtholz came in, first year as the coach there. The Oilers had been pretty bad most of the 70s. I think drafting you, I know I just wrote a story about the 1979 Oilers that actually got published tonight, but I think he came in and he drafted the building block of the defense with you. A few years later, he gets Earl Campbell. Coming from a small school at Jackson State, you won the Defensive Rookie of the Year. Did it have a special meaning to you because you came from a smaller school?
I was a kid having fun. I mean, a lot of the awards I got was just because I was out there having fun. I mean, everybody said I was Rookie of the Year, and what motivated me to be the number one defensive Rookie of the Year. I was just out having Robert Brazile fun. I knew that if I played hard and I left everything on the field, at the day, I didn't want nobody to say what I should have done or what I could have done. And that was one of the main things. And Baum drafted me as I think Sid Gibbons set that all up. Bro. Let's set the record straight. Sid Gibbons set that up where he traded for Curly Cup and Teddy Washington. And the only thing that they was really missing was they had a great outside linebacker. I got to give credit to the other three linebackers they had at that time. Greg Bingham, Steve Kiner, Teddy Washington. They needed one more good linebacker, and then Baum traded and drafted Robert Brazile in that spot. Tom Williams was the AD at that time, the manager, and he drafted me at that spot. I just fell in with a bunch of good veterans. I mean, you got to understand, I had two All-Pros that really coached me the whole while. I'm not saying what Bingham been teaching me every day or what Teddy been teaching me, but Curly and Aaron Buffet, that's two Hall of Famers that you playing next to and having fun with. I was just like a kid in a candy store.
So where did you get the name Dr. Doom from?
Oh, man, that's a trivia question. I can't let that out yet. No, I tell you. We was in the college All-Star game. A lot of people don't know about the old college All-Star game. It's up in Chicago, where the college All-Stars played the Super Bowl champs. We had a breakfast the day before, the week before the game. Our Cosell was sitting there with Richard Wood. Richard Wood was a great linebacker out of SC that year, and everybody called him Batman. And John Tate, which was there also, they called him Crazy Man because of his. I was the only linebacker without a nickname. So they had to come up with a nickname for me that morning while eating breakfast. So in the Chicago Tribune, it is a cartoonist. His name is Dr. Doom. And Richard Wood said, that's what we're going to call you. And I said, why are you going to call me that? He said, because if you look at the Doom part, deaf on offensive men, and that's what you do all day long. So it stuck with me. So that's how I ended up with the name Dr. Doom.
Awesome.
Well, during the heyday of the Oilers, 1979, 1980, or 78 through 80, with the Love You Blue, what was it like to play at the Astrodome and to just be around Houston during that time?
Well, I'm going to take it a little closer than that. No, I didn't ever call it the Astrodome. I call it Doomsdome. You got another team here in Texas called the Cowboys, and when you were we're going to call the next door neighbor team to the Cowboys, the All-American team, we came in and tried to take our fans back from the Cowboys, and the only way we could do that is to have a winning team, a winning season, and we succeeded by doing it. I mean. It was a split decision. Either you had to be a Cowboy fan in Texas or no fan. Well, nobody no Houston All fan during that time. And Bob came in with the Love You Blue and the lovely blue guys, and we said we're going to play as hard as we could to get our fans, and we actually played for our fans because we needed them and needed their support. And that was during those 79 and 80 years when we were knocking down the doors and pulling up the trees and knocking down everything else. It was all about our fans, getting our fans and keeping them here in Houston.
Right, and they were definitely, you look at any old footage of the Astrodome, and those fans just absolutely love their team.
Oh, yeah.
I got a couple questions about Earl Campbell. Number one, what was it like during practice? Do you and Earl have any kind of almost like a little rivalry in practice?
I think you need to ask Earl that question, and Earl will tell you the same thing that I'm about to say.
You got his number? We could call him.
Earl probably speaks like I should be. The Oilers had a thing. We never played the Houston Oilers. Bob Phillips used to always emphasize that every day of practice. So why beat up your teammates? We never played the Houston Oilers. The Houston Oilers is not on our schedule. We are not going to have contact here. Now, it was times. I remember I would run around, and Earl used to run. I used to run behind him, try to knock the ball out or try to punch it out, see if he had a tight grip on it. And Baum stopped practice. He said, oh, y'all two come in. And he said, what if you bust his knee by running behind him? I said, good point, Coach. We won't do that no more. The next day I was right back doing the same thing. But I understood what he was saying. We didn't have the Houston Oilers on our schedule, and we did not have a physical. We left it. We took it all out on Sunday, where we should have been, where most people did. We didn't beat up on each other. But Earl would tell you,
right,
if we hit head on, and me and him always say, I don't know who's going to get up first, but it's going to be one hell of a train wreck.
Well, I'll tell you one game that I remember growing up, because I remember having to fight my parents because I was supposed to be in bed by 11 because I had school the next day, was the Monday night game against the Miami Dolphins in Houston in 1978.
Right.
That was a good
Tell
game.
us what that game was like, because
that
looked...
blue game.
Yeah, I can still hear that song in my head because of that night.
But I think everybody, I think that song even followed us back down to Miami. Miami tried to steal that song from us, Love You Blue song. But it was, you would thought you was at a big carnival, but it was some great football being played on both sides of the ball. We had a lot of respect for the Miami Dolphins at that time. Don Shula was a great coach. Baum always emphasized how good a coach he was, and we had to beat him both mentally and physically. And that's how the game was, and that's how the game ended. Who was going to be the most physical and who was going to leave it on the field.
Well, as the 78 season was coming to an end, the Oilers really, as we were talking about before, they had a rough time in the 70s, but at some point near the end, you had to realize you were going to the playoffs. What did that mean to you? And you've been in the league a couple of years, but what was the atmosphere like in the locker room when you guys realized you were going to the playoffs and you had a chance to compete to win a championship?
We had put the cake all in the pan. We had to write all the ingredients. Everybody was up on the uphill beat. Everybody was pulling for each other. We had won our fans from Dallas. Everybody knew that we was a contender. We had split with Pittsburgh that year, and we needed to beat them again. We needed to beat them real bad. And I think, everybody want to say the call that they didn't make in Pittsburgh had a lot to do with us not being in the Super Bowl. Robert Brazile would like to confess about one thing that happened that day. We let the guys in the strike take the game away from us. I am one of the defensive leaders. I did not get my defensive team back together. Bingham and I are supposed to get that team back on the field and play football. We still had 3 other quarters of football to play, and we didn't. We still talking about what happened with Mike Renfro. That had nothing to do with that defensive game. And I think, and I regret it today, that we did not pull together back as a team and become in the AFC playoff that year.
Well, like I said, that first year, I mean, it was impressive. You went to Miami and to New England, I believe, in '78. Won playoff games. You go to Pittsburgh. That first one, I think, the one at the game where they put up like 3 or 4 touchdowns in like a minute off of penalties. The weather was bad.
Yeah.
I don't know. It seemed like they always had Earl Campbell's number also, Pittsburgh. And really, what was the rivalry with Pittsburgh like? Because when I remember late 70s, that's what I remember. You remember early 70s, you're thinking Pittsburgh, Oakland. Late 70s, you're thinking Pittsburgh, Houston. What was that rivalry like?
The rivalry was, we left it on the field. I mean, the Friday night, if I was up in Pittsburgh, I would call a Rocky one of Jack Lambert or one of Jack Hammer. We would talk, but we knew on Sunday we had to play football. It wasn't so much of a rivalry. It was just who was going to be the best team that next day or that Sunday. Pittsburgh was great. You got to give credit where credit's due. I mean, Pittsburgh had our number, and we did not have all the ingredients to beat them in the set time that we needed to beat them.
So after the the '78 season ends in disappointment, you guys are looking around. You've got Earl Campbell was a rookie in '78, and you know you've got Earl coming back next year. What's the atmosphere like as you're preparing for the '79 season, and you're thinking, well, we got to get back and beat Pittsburgh?
I think that's the year Baum said, this year we knocked on the door. Next year we're going to kick that door down. That's the attitude that we had. That was the attitude we had. Every all of that I knew, and if I know them still today, them that are living, still feel like we prepared ourselves for the game. But sometimes it just, you got all types of elements, and I know they're on both sides of the field. Pittsburgh was supposed to win those games, and we just didn't. I know I prepared myself just like I did every game, but the outcome didn't come out like I planned it. So I just got to keep giving Pittsburgh their credit. They won it, and if I had to do it again, I don't think they want to play the Oilers no more after that, because I think we would have beat them in a different way. But the attitude in the locker room was, let's leave it on the field, and we did. I think it was. Some people may question what they did or did not do, but I know that Robert Brazile left everything on the field against in the playoff game.
Mike?
Hey, I want to remind listeners that we're talking to Robert Brazile. The show is live for the first half hour, which gives us 7 more minutes live, and then we'll have 15 minutes of archive time. At the top of the hour, midnight Eastern Time, 11 o'clock Central Time, you can actually go listen to the rest of the podcast all the way through. So let's go to 1979, the playoffs. You guys played a game against Denver. You won the game 13-7. Very physical game. You had the Orange Crush defense against Dr. Doom's defense, and a lot of injuries in the game. You guys lose Dan Pastorini, your starting quarterback, Ken Burrow, your starting wide receiver, Earl Campbell, your starting running back. So going into the game in San Diego against the Chargers, what was the feeling of the team? What did Coach Phillips say to you guys to make you believe you could win the game?
We had some guys that I really know, and if you look back at the film, which you guys have, they stepped up to the plate. We as a defense knew we had to prepare ourselves for Dan Fouts and the Chargers. One of my best friends was playing with the Chargers at that time, Ricky Young, which was a roommate with me and Walter back in Jackson. And Ricky knew that I was prepared. I think he called me for the game, and I was like real sharp with him, saying, man, I got so much. I don't know what I'm going to do tomorrow, but I don't think you need to get about 20 yards if I give you that minute. Defensively, we had to put a great performance together. We did. But we had other guys. You got to understand, I've seen Rod Carpenter, Gifford Nielsen, and Ronnie Coleman play one of the better games I ever seen in the backup that ever played for the Houston Oilers. Rob Carpenter had a all-pro game that day. Vernon Perry came up with 4 interceptions. It's like, you don't see this until it's over with. But during the game, those guys put up one great. I didn't have one of the better games. I guess I was so happy that I was a part of this and seeing what was happening, both offensively and defensively for the Houston Oilers. But these guys really stepped up to the plate and played one great game against the San Diego Chargers. Vernon come up with 4 interceptions and a blocked field goal. That's unheard. I think nobody has yet to break that record. No one will never break that record. 4 interceptions and a blocked field goal. I always tell you, let Mike Fuller run you down. He said he was tired. I said, no, you can't be tired in the NFL. You're never supposed to be tired. Mike Fuller's a great ball player, and he got great speed, but he'll run you down.
So was it really surprising that Vernon was able to make all those plays? And it just seemed like every time Fouts dropped back to throw, and it was a big moment, it was Vernon Perry coming up with a play, and it was just a great team effort.
We really prepared ourselves in the film room that year for that game. Greg Bingham, Teddy Thompson, myself, and Coach Biles had picked up on something that Dan Fox was doing. We didn't know where he was throwing the ball, but we knew when he was going to throw. He had a way that he would set his feet that we picked up in the film. And his feet was parallel with each other. That means side by side. That was going to be a running play. If he cocked his right foot back, that means he was going to drop back and throw to the right. We didn't know where he was going to throw to the right, but we knew that thing. We actually kept a lot of pass rushers known and some full coverages and man-to-man coverages known because of what we picked up in the film.
All right. We've got a caller on the line. You there, caller?
Yes, I am. Hey, Robert Brazile. It's a real pleasure talking to you.
Who's this?
My name is Joe. I'm calling from Teaneck, New Jersey.
New Jersey.
Yeah, Joe is actually the co-host of my boxing show every Tuesday night. My screen was blank for almost this entire show, so I couldn't see who called in and who didn't. He's been patiently waiting on hold as I figured out what the heck was wrong here, and I'm still not sure, but his number just popped up, so we got him in. What's your question, Joe?
Joe.
What's up, Joe?
Well, again, it's a real pleasure. I just wanted to ask you this question. To me, I saw you play. To me, you're the bridge from Bobby Bell, Jack Ham, Dave Robinson, Ted Hendricks to the modern linebacker. All those guys in the Hall of Fame, and you're not, and you are definitely deserving. You passed the eye test. You had the numbers. You were a great all-around player. Does it bother you that you haven't been considered for the Hall?
Good. I'm 62 years old, and I left Atlanta. I've been saying this over, and I keep saying it. It's still a bunch of great guys that need to be in the Hall of Fame. And if it's for Robert Brazile to get in the Hall of Fame, I will get there. But I have no regrets of what I've done, football-wise or in other ways. But I don't make those decisions. The people that make those decisions will make the decision for Robert if it's for them to make that decision. I hope that they do. I'm 62 years old, and, everybody would like, every football player that played in the NFL say they don't want to be a Hall of Fame. They'll be lying to say that they didn't. I would love to be in the Hall of Fame, but I want to wait my turn, and when it's time, I want to really, really enjoy it. I don't want to pressure nobody by putting me in there, but when it's due, it'll be on time, whenever it's due.
Well, that's I give you so much credit for that answer. You're very gracious, and that's probably one of the reasons why, no disrespect, you've been a little overlooked because it looks like you're not the type to campaign for yourself. So maybe you need a PR person.
I have one. I have a couple of PR people. I just met them. I just became Facebook friends with these guys. They're going to do it if it needs to be done. I got great faith. I like, by the way, the Matt, that was a great job y'all did with the, like you say, with the picture and Mike with that article. But I hadn't seen Tom's All-American team neutralize the team. That was frightening to see that, man. I didn't know I did all that.
Okay, I can tell you this real quick. My son loves football. He likes the old time football players, watching the Jack Lamberts. First time he'd seen Robert Brazile. All right, he's watching that, and you know what he told me? He looked at me. He said, "That looks just like Lawrence Taylor, only I think he's better." Now, the thing that really got to me was this. I remember when the Oilers, I'm a Bengals fan. I hate to admit it, but everybody in the world knows it by now because Matt's always making fun of me about it.
I wasn't going to say anything.
I remember in 1978, or 78 or 79, I went and watched the Bengals play the Oilers. I was probably like 10 years old, okay? We watched you play. My dad loved the way you played. About 1985 is the first time we saw LT in person when the Bengals beat the Giants. Joe's a Giants fan, so anytime the Bengals beat the Giants, I like to rub that in. But when we watched you for the first time live, my dad looked at me and he said, "He plays just like Robert Brazile." And
wow.
I mean, that always stuck with me, and I loved that. Yeah, I loved that Oilers team when I was younger because my team was never in the playoffs. I had to cheer for somebody that was in it. But I mean, I just wanted to get that out there that tonight when we watched that, and my son said that it looks like LT. I just remember my dad telling me, "LT, he plays like Robert Brazile," which I think is a great compliment because I think you two guys were the best outside linebackers I've ever seen.
It is. Like you say, you put a couple of them on there. Terry Henry was another great. Bobby Bell was another great. We got a bunch of good linebackers. Everybody, it's just like trying to name the number one best running back. You can't, man. You got a team full of running backs. Walter Payton, Earl Campbell. I mean, come on, man. I'm just glad to be in that class with a guy like Lawrence. I had the pleasure of meeting Lawrence his senior year while he was in college. He wanted to meet me. So I flew up with Gene Burroughs, which was Kenny Burroughs' brother, up to recruit him for Jerry Augustus as an agent. And that's how we became friends. We had people don't know that story, but we both knew, and I always appreciated his game. Matter of fact, we practiced against him a bunch, and everybody used to say, "Y'all too much alike. You talk alike, you act alike." But his character and my character on the football field was just like a shadow.
I wanted to ask you also about Billy White Shoes Johnson. One of the best kickoff return, punt return, you name it. He good receiver, obviously a really flashy guy. Brought a lot to your team. What was it like having him on the team, and what kind of energy did he bring?
Well, when you got Robert Brazile, you start all four starting linebackers, 2 or 3 of your defensive ends. No one really left our punt return team because we knew what we had in back there returning the football, which was Billy White Shoes Johnson. All Billy wanted you to do was to get a block, and Billy would make something happen or set a block up for you. It was a pleasure being on the special team with Billy White Shoes Johnson. Nice guy. Like you said, left flashy. I love to see him do the chicken, and Baum loved it. Baum loved him as a little bit more than he loved us, I believe, the way because he said, "All I want you to do, don't let Billy get hurt. And y'all just get the block, and Billy will make something happen."
Well, you just brought up Bum Phillips. I actually just got done. I read his biography about 4 or 5 months ago. Very impressive man. I think he should be in the Hall of Fame also. I don't think you can write the history of professional football without him. I mean, the things he did with the 3-4 defense, even as far back as the late 50s at Alabama with Bear Bryant.
So true.
I mean, he was an amazing coach. And the thing is, people don't remember that. People think that he was easy on players, but I think the thing that made him so great was the fact that he really loved his players. His players knew that would do anything for him. I mean, do you have any Bum Phillips stories?
I think the best Bum Phillips story I have was the Bum. I have this statue at my house. I think it was 3 maids, 2 maids. One is at Bum Phillips' rent today, and the other is at my house. And he knew when I stood up behind him, that the defense was at risk. If I was sitting down and stayed away from around him, it was like me and him clicking. A lot of people don't understand that me and Baum had the same thing that I did on the field. If I crossed my leg and it was a defensive play call, and I crossed my leg and I looked at Baum, he would tell me to go freelance. But I mean, if it's check that defensive call and you make a weird rush back from cover 2 charge, that's what it was. That means Robert Brazile was coming off the cone because I seen something we needed something to happen on the football field real fast. One of the biggest stories was I had retired and came home. Kenny Burroughs and myself was coaching down in Mobile. We had a team, arena football. Baum and Debbie came down, and that was the first time I really felt like, not the first time, I knew that Baum was the man that I fell in love with back in 1975 when he drafted me, when he showed up out of nowhere just to say, what are y'all doing? I love y'all. I come to support y'all, and y'all have a great. He signed the football. He said, you may not win them all, but win more than you lose. And I still got that football that faced that, and he was one. You know, you have a lot of surgeons and daddies. I mean, I could talk about my college coach, Bob Hill, and W.C. Gordon. I could talk about my uncle, Odell. I could talk about my father. But when I talk about Baum Phillips, I'm talking about a man that I really respect, love, and adore. And everybody, you know, I've been asked numerous of times before Baum had passed, if it's anyone, when you go to if you ever go to the Hall of Fame, who's going to introduce you? I always say, I'm going to let Baum introduce my son to the Hall of Fame, and let me just sit there and watch them have fun.
All right, you coached arena football? Where'd you coach arena football at?
Mobile, Alabama.
Mobile? What league was that?
Mobile State.
Because I did see there where it said you coached minor league indoor or minor league football, so I kind of figured that. I coached indoor football the last 5 years, arena football. Yeah, that's probably something you could tell stories about for a long time, isn't it?
No, I didn't like it. I really didn't like the idea of the short field and the contact. It was too geared for offense. It wasn't geared for defense. Somebody could get really hurt in arena football.
Yeah, real quick, the Bum Phillips thing. That team, when Bud Adams fired him in 1980, that team basically just started going downhill. Did that have a lot to do with why you only played 9 years in the NFL? I mean, when Bum was gone, did that kind of push you where maybe you didn't love to play so much anymore?
No, it didn't. To be honest, when it came across the air that Baum had been fired, I think I cried like a bunch of more. All of we got together like a bunch of little crybabies and cried because we didn't know what we had done for him to deserve to. I know I felt like, what did I do to deserve my boss man getting fired? And what can we do to try to stop this? What caused this? I guess is the right word I'm trying to figure out. But my last year, in 1984, I had a wife to get killed in a car accident, and I had a 7-year-old son, and he was over in Mobile, and Baum was coaching there in New Orleans. He invited me to the Saints to ask me did I want to play, and I told him, I said, Coach, you've told me it ain't what you could do for football, what football can do for you. And I said, football is going to turn me into a father. I'm really happy with what I did over the 10 years. I'm happy with it, but I'm not going to play any more football. And this is the first time this has been said to the public about what had expired between me and him. But he had really offered me a job with the Saints. But I told him I wanted to be a father, and that's how I ended up into my career right there that night.
So So after you retired and all the way up until now, what keeps Robert Brazile busy these days?
Well, for the last, this is my second year of retirement, but I worked in the Mobile public school system in special needs with special needs kids. I've been a school teacher, man. I've been giving back, enjoying myself up until last year when I retired. Now all I do is go visit my grandkids. I love to fish. I'm an adequate bass fisherman. I love to catch brims. Brims right now on the bed is one of the hottest things that I'm after right now. When the specks are running, I'm in a lot of good brackish water down in Mobile, Alabama, where I can do a lot of good fishing.
All right, we got about 3 or 4 minutes left. So I'm sure you follow the NFL today. I mean, who are some of the players that, maybe remind you of yourself or that you really like to watch play?
Well, to be honest with you, I only watch the big games. I think that there's some linebackers out there that deserve, I was a great fan of Ray Lewis. I mean, a great fan of the kids up in Seattle. And I think this guy out here in Texas, Mr. J.J. Watt.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I don't know. Sometimes you want to check the race. This guy still got some of your DNA or something.
He's a bad dude.
He's a bad
sure
dude. I love J.J. And I been doing a lot of high school. My son is a high school coach down in Mobile, and I've been doing some Saturday evening coaching with him. I did a whole lot of coaching over the last back during when I was working in the school system, high school coaching. I've been doing a lot of high school coaching, trying to prepare kids for college and getting them out of certain areas and putting them in on the college level, D1 level.
All right, sounds good. Once again, I can tell you this. I just got like 2 Twitter messages and a Facebook message all at once, and I'm not kidding this time, Matt. And all 3 of them said Robert Brazile sounds like a great guy. And, I mean, I've talked to you a couple times. You've taken time out of your busy schedule. I know you should be sleeping right now, so should we all, because we're all getting up there. But I really appreciate you spending time with us. I know me and Matt talked to you a little bit before about footage from some of your games. If you want, I can give you a holler tomorrow. We can talk about that a little bit. Matt, you got any final comments?
I'd just like to also thank Robert, not only accepting my friend request on Facebook, but for spending time with us, and just love to hear about the Lovey Blue Oilers. Are one of the best, most fun to watch teams ever. Appreciate you being on with us tonight.
Hey guys, this is a pleasure on this end. A lot of people don't realize, that is no more Houston Oilers. Once all of these guys, and I'm counting myself and the Campbells and the Bathayas, the Cups, the Binghams, the Perrys, when these Oilers are gone, there would never be another Houston Oilers. And it's sad,
it was a great team. I mean, Greg Bingham was a great linebacker. Curly Culp was a great defensive lineman. I mean, and Vernon Perry, that one game made a career for most people.
When all these guys are gone, man, I don't know what they're going to do. There's a lot of good memorabilia out there with the Houston Oilers on it. But hopefully, like you say, one of these days somebody will see the right thing to do for Robert to put him in the Hall of Fame. I would love to do it. My mother's 82, y'all, if you're listening. My mother's 82, so I would love for her to be at the Hall of Fame.
Yeah. Well, I can tell you this. Me and Matt, neither one of us have ever been to the Hall of Fame. The day you get inducted, we will be there to watch it.
That's right.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Man. And to the rest of my Hall of Fame, I want to thank you for 10 wonderful years. And I love you guys. I will always be a place in my heart for the Houston Oilers and the Houston people here in Houston, Texas. I love you guys, and thank y'all again so much for having me on the show. If I could do it again, I would do it whenever you ask me to call. Just give me a heads up.
All right. Hey, thanks a lot, Robert.
All right, man.
Thanks, Robert.